Have you ever wondered what would happen if the sun exploded? This is not just a random, mind-boggling question, but a glimpse into the fascinating and complex world of astrophysics. You see, our sun, like all stars, is living through a cycle. Born from a cloud of gas and dust, it's been burning brightly for about 5 billion years. But one day, it will ultimately meet its explosive end. We're delving into the realm of supernovas, the spectacular explosions that mark the final stage in a star's life cycle. These cosmic events are so powerful that they can outshine entire galaxies for brief periods. Imagine that, our sun, becoming a celestial firework display on an unimaginable scale. But don't pack your interstellar evacuation kit just yet. This is not an overnight occurrence. It's a process that takes millions, even billions of years to unfold. While the idea might sound like science fiction, it's actually a very real part of the life cycle of stars. To understand what would happen if the sun exploded, we first need to understand the life cycle of a star. Stars, like people, are born, grow, and eventually die. The journey of a star, however, is measured in billions of years and unfolds on a cosmic stage. Stars are born in nebulae, vast clouds of gas and dust in space. A disturbance, perhaps from a nearby supernova, causes the nebula to collapse under its own gravity. As the nebula collapses, it spins and flattens into a disk. In the center of this disk, a protostar forms. This infant star grows by accreting more and more material from the surrounding disk. When the protostar has grown large enough, the pressure and temperature at its core become so extreme that hydrogen atoms start to fuse into helium. This nuclear fusion releases vast amounts of energy, and the star begins to shine. This is the main sequence stage of a star's life, and it's where our sun is at the moment. Stars spend the majority of their lives in the main sequence stage, burning hydrogen into helium, but eventually the hydrogen in the core runs out. For a star like the sun, this marks the beginning of the end. The star expands into a red giant, and its outer layers are slowly blown away. What remains is a hot, dense core called a white dwarf. Some stars, however, are massive enough to continue the fusion process even after the hydrogen is gone. These stars can explode in a supernova and leave behind a neutron star or even a black hole. The sun, like all stars, is destined to die. But it won't go out with a bang. Our sun simply doesn't have enough mass to explode in a supernova. Instead, it will slowly fade away as a white dwarf. But what would happen if that death came in the form of a sudden cataclysmic explosion? Now let's imagine the unimaginable. The sun explodes. In the blink of an eye, our bright, warm sun would transform into a supernova, a stellar explosion of epic proportions. This enormous eruption would release an unfathomable amount of energy and radiation. To put it in context, it would be like setting off a billion atomic bombs all at once. Yes, you heard that right, a billion. Now that's a whole lot of zeros. This cataclysmic event would send a shockwave hurtling through the solar system at the speed of light. Earth, being 8 light minutes away from the sun, would feel the impact almost instantaneously. Everything facing the sun would be instantly obliterated, vaporized by the intense burst of high-energy radiation. But the horror wouldn't stop there. The long-term effects would be even more catastrophic. The loss of light and heat would plunge Earth into a perpetual winter. Temperatures worldwide would drop drastically. Within a week, the average global temperature would fall below freezing, and within a year, our planet would be colder than the coldest winter in Antarctica, with temperatures plunging to a chilling negative 100 degrees Celsius. In this freezing, dark world, photosynthesis would stop. Plants, the foundation of most food chains, would die off, leading to a cascade of extinction events up the food chain. The oceans would begin to freeze, starting from the surface and working its way down, trapping whatever marine life remained in a tomb of ice. Yet some life might still endure. Deep underground and in the deepest parts of the ocean, where geothermal heat still provides warmth, some hardy microorganisms could survive. But for most life forms, including US humans, survival would become practically impossible. In short, if the sun were to explode, life as we know it would be drastically and irreversibly changed. But before you start panicking, there's a silver lining to this doomsday scenario. Despite the grim picture we've painted so far, there's a twist to this tale. Our sun, as colossal and powerful as it is, simply doesn't have the heft to detonate in a supernova. Instead, it's destined for a quieter, albeit equally profound transformation. Over billions of years, the sun will slowly exhaust its nuclear fuel. As this happens, it'll begin to bloat, ballooning into what's known as a red giant. This enormous, inflated version of the sun will ultimately swallow the inner planets, including our own. It's a violent end, no doubt, but not an explosive one. So, here's the comforting truth. Our sun won't explode, casting us into instant darkness. Instead, it will undergo a slow, fiery expansion, a spectacle that will unfold over an unimaginably long timescale. So while the sun's eventual death will still be a dramatic event, it's not going to be the sudden catastrophic explosion you might have imagined. So what have we learned from this exploration of a hypothetical solar explosion? We've journeyed through the life cycle of a star, from its fiery birth to its eventual demise. We've seen the intricate dance of cosmic forces that shape these celestial bodies, and the stellar furnace that fuels our own sun. We delved into the dramatic scenario of a supernova explosion, and its potential impact on Earth. The cataclysmic event would indeed spell the end of life as we know it, but it's important to remember that this is a hypothetical scenario. We've also touched on the actual fate of our sun. It's not destined to go out with a bang, but rather a whimper. It will swell into a red giant, engulfing the inner planets before shrinking back down to a white dwarf, gradually cooling over billions of years. While the idea of the sun exploding is a fascinating one, it's one scenario we fortunately don't have to worry about, but it does serve as a reminder of the incredible power and complexity of the universe we live in.